Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing some Battlefield 5 live stream. I'm sitting here with Keegan, who's going to be playing, and I'm sitting here with Sam, who's the editor. And yeah, we're just going to discuss Battlefield 5 a little bit, show you some gameplay footage, and hope you have a good time with us. So, do what?
I died.
Yeah, he died already. I mean, that's
one of many deaths.
Yeah, hashtag noob, just saying.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, so yeah, we're playing Battlefield 5 on the Gigabyte Aero over here next to us. 7th gen Core i7 with 1060. So it should give us some decent frames, considering this is more than the recommended settings. Well, I think it is the recommended settings for Battlefield 5. So yeah, and then we're going to show you some gameplay footage after that. And yeah, I was going to discuss the game a little bit. So I played the beta when it came out September, and pretty impressed with it back then, although it was unoptimized. But now it seems to be operating a lot better than what it was in September. Sam, what did you think of the game so far?
I have not gotten my hands on it, so this will be like a fresh perspective coming in for me. So
Okay.
I'll ask a lot of questions that obviously I haven't played the game yet. I do know a lot about it.
Yeah.
I just haven't played it.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, it's using the Frostbite engine, and it's really showing through. And it's, I mean, it's not a huge graphical improvement over Battlefield 1, but there's definitely some mechanical improvements, collision detection, 3D mapping, all that good stuff. Technical terms for computers, all those things. So Keegan, you've been jamming for a few days now. How are you finding Battlefield 5?
I'm enjoying it quite a bit, eh?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a nice steady evolution of the first Battlefield 1. So I haven't really sat noticing the differences as yet, aside from a few animation differences.
Yeah.
I've yet to delve into the character customization for the multiplayer,
Yeah.
which I feel like I want to do today.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, aside from that, the war stories are pretty neat.
So war stories, I saw when I played a little bit as well. The war stories looked a little bit different, seemed a little bit different as well. So, are you enjoying the war stories so far?
Yeah, I really am enjoying the war stories. It's a nice, intimate take on what World War II was.
Yeah.
And I like the whole criminal to war hero kind of vibes that I've been getting from all the war stories. Everyone has a lot to prove, and it's pretty nice seeing the journeys. I died again.
Yeah.
So we're going to be hearing that a lot. I died again.
So when it comes to Battlefield, what separates Battlefield from something like Call of Duty right now is they introduced us in Battlefield 1 as war stories. And this is something that's sort of like an anthology of different stories that take place across the world, around the globe. So with Battlefield 5, what they've taken is war stories from the first game, and they've expanded upon it in a way that's pretty unique, and I think that's really the standout feature for me for Battlefield 5.
Awesome. If you have any questions for us, please let us know on our Twitter feed at Nexus_AWX. We would love to hear from you guys, and also you can comment on the YouTube link that's been posted on our Facebook page as well as on Twitter as well. So yeah, please engage with us. We'd love to hear from you guys, and if any of you have played Battlefield so far, what your experiences are like and how you're finding it. Yeah, so
let's just jump into it then. I think.
I think let's watch Keegan die a little bit more.
Oh, wow.
It literally, as I said that, he died.
I feel like Rob is a bad jinx.
So
that has nothing to do with my skill.
Bad jinx, he says, yet he's just dying on his own anyway. Sorry, Sam, yes.
Yeah. So one thing I just want to give some credit to in this game is the Frostbite engine
yes.
they're using. The graphics in this game are phenomenal.
Yeah.
They are insane.
Yeah.
And the amount of detail that DICE has put into this game is... They always ensure that they do that with every single game they make. I mean, Star Wars Battlefront 2 looked amazing. Battlefield 1 before that. And this is no different.
No, definitely. And this map that Keegan's actually playing on at the moment is the Norway map. And as you can see, the frost and stuff. I mean, obviously it's not frostbite because of the frost. But one of the best, for me, one of the best differences with these game engines is the improvements with the frost and the snow. Because I feel like obviously particles like water and dirt and things like that always get improved over most game engines, But frost is really something that's been hard to capture properly. And yeah, pretty much since like 2012, games have been nailing frost textures down. So yeah, and I think it really shows in this as well, considering. I mean, that just looks absolutely incredible.
I mean, considering where we started out with the Source engine that was used in Half-Life 2 and what that did for physics, and then coming all the way to looking at Battlefield 5, it's absolutely insane.
No, it is.
I mean, noticing in the gameplay when you're actually walking, looking around, you see your footsteps in the snow, you see the snow sort of break apart when you run through it, and you see this particle effects just explode on screen.
So it's not just the textures, but also the way it reacts with you as a character as well. And I mean, also, I don't know, well, there was 2 seconds earlier before Keegan moved the camera, but the way that the branches on trees are also frozen over almost, got that frost tip to them. Also, really phenomenal game engine.
I mean, this level of detail you'd obviously expect from DICE, because they are the masters when it comes to just visually and aesthetically amazing games.
100%.
And look, Battlefield 5 is no different. This is honestly one of the best looking games I've seen all year. It's incredible.
Yeah, so I mean, there was some technical issues with the beta when it, when that was happening in September. Very well populated, thankfully, because DICE made it an open beta, which I think is definitely a way to go for a beta. I mean, why close it off? Why not? Why not why not have as many players as you can giving you feedback on the game? The biggest technical problem was the 30 frames and the way everything integrates it with each other, which I'm glad to see that they've fixed, because it's really looking great. It's not as jagged as it was in the beta. So that's another thing I like. It's another thing I'll give DICE every time. They've always taken what that in terms of technical specs. They've always taken good feedback. They've always taken feedback from their fans and actually used it properly to improve their games.
And also, one thing DICE always does superbly is also community engagement.
Yes.
So one thing that they do with their fans is, okay, they just want to say, in Battlefield 1 we did certain things, now we want to ask you, the community, what do you want to improve on the game? And I feel like they've taken a lot of that into consideration in Battlefield 5. Obviously, controversial stuff aside, this game looks like a massive improvement over Battlefield 1, but it also feels like Battlefield 1 while refining all the finer details, and I think that just shows in the gameplay.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like as we were saying earlier, I mean, you see the way the tank interacts with the snow there. You can see how it...
Actually, the way the snow bounces off the tracks and stuff, it's insane. And it's those tiny amounts of details that actually make this game stand out. I know, like we mentioned in the past, you know, there's a lot of games that have done it before, the physics-based stuff. Battlefield right now feels like a natural evolution of that. I mean, just looking at the screen. The footsteps you take in the snow literally kick off snow as you walk through it.
No, and also I think Keegan mentioned it the other day as well, is that one of the nice additions to Battlefield 5 is the fact that the tanks look a bit more realistic to what they did in actual World War II. So, which is a really nice touch, because Battlefield 1 was almost like a reimagining of exactly, and with all the different equipment as well. I mean, not just tanks, but weapons, things like that. So, it's nice to see that Battlefield 5 has actually taken a step towards the more traditional look for World War II vehicles and stuff. Run away from the scary tank.
Trying.
Don't hide in a building because they disintegrate. Trust me, I know.
On that note, the authenticity of World War II right now is how Battlefield 5 just excels above any other World War II game I've seen. 100%. Because when it comes to the tanks, it comes to the weapons, it comes to the settings. These are pretty incredible little features that they've added into the game. And obviously, it's the devil's in the details in this game. And once you notice that, you pay attention to not just graphically, but what they have done to stay authentic to World War II.
100%.
Is
exactly.
Obviously incredible.
Hey Sam, we see you watching. What's up?
Welcome,
we
Sam,
appreciate you. Thank you.
One thing I want to discuss about the game though is the combat. So you've played it, Keegan's playing it now. How does the combat actually feel compared to the other Battlefield games?
A lot smoother for me. I played the first Battlefield and I enjoyed the war stories because obviously you don't notice like nitty gritty stuff with combat really in something like war stories. Although that might sound weird, just bear with me here. In multiplayer, you notice every little thing that might be wrong with the combat system. You know, like reloading, collision detection, actually hitting an enemy where it's supposed to. And I felt like Battlefield 1, even polished and everything, it still had a few problems with. You'll see you'll see a round that you fire, you'll see it go in the direction you want, and then it just doesn't hit anything.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well, maybe it didn't happen all the time, but it did still happen.
Yeah.
And I felt like Battlefield 5 has really worked on that quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They've improved that as well. And I mean, like, for me as well, I know maybe not exactly combat system, but just the way the houses disintegrate, you know, when shot with different tanks, and over time, as the round goes by, everything slowly gets progressively worse, basically. As you can see, Keegan just lost again. So really messing up my KD ratio for my profile, but you know, we'll leave that out.
Not like you would do better. Just saying.
Alright, so one thing you're talking about is obviously the level of destruction that's in Battlefield 5.
Wow.
Okay, just a quick update. Keegan has faced defeat on this round.
With 91 respawns remaining for the enemy team. That is dismal.
I know.
Yeah, Keegan.
I mean,
talk about this,
it's not just you playing, but it is your fault. All of it.
It is always.
Yeah. You know.
Right, yeah. So as I was saying, the level of
sorry.
destruction in this game. Obviously, Battlefield has always been that go-to first-person shooter when it came to large-scale destruction. When it came to just how authentic the game feels. When it comes to just when you shoot a house, for example. In other first-person shooters, you'll have this little bullet hole that sort of just fades away over time. Not with Battlefield. No. You shoot something on a house and it disappears.
Yeah, it actually physically goes away.
Physically disappears, and that stays throughout the game. And something like that just makes Battlefield stand out from the rest of the first-person shooters. I just want to give a little history lesson. So basically, the Frostbite engine does allow you to have this immersive full-scale destruction. Sorry.
Yes, yeah.
And that was something that was introduced not so long ago, depending on how old you are, by Criterion Games. So Criterion Games were experimenting with this engine way before Battlefield did.
Yeah.
This came to the game Black. I don't know if you remember the...
I remember Black.
So what Black did for first-person shooters was pretty revolutionary, and this is where Battlefield sort of adopted that engine that used that full-scale destruction. And in Battle... did that just happen?
You know what? If you've played online shooters, you'll know that happens all the time. You know, people just jump on everyone else. And anyway, sorry, yes, I was saying. I remember playing Black. Black was a phenomenal first-person shooter. Really was. It was. I think because it was released on the PS2. For those who didn't play it or don't know, I think we tend to forget how long ago this game came out.
Actually,
that's scary.
If I'm not mistaken, that was
Windows just happened.
I think so. Yeah, it was about 2005. Sounds about right.
Did you see that Windows just had a Windows?
Windows had a Windows. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I remember playing Black, and that was really phenomenal. I remember the fact that Black was one of the first that had the muzzle flash, but you could actually see the round leaving the chamber, which was really cool. Obviously not the first, but I think one of the first that did that.
Yeah.
And really, I think Criterion was really good at adapting that engine for that game, and I'm really happy that game engine kind of stayed. And that they've built on it to create something like this because it's really phenomenal.
Yeah. So obviously, just walking people through what's going on in the gameplay right now.
Keegan's dying.
Besides Keegan dying, let's talk about something. How does this game actually take what Call of Duty did with the mid-pack system? Because before it was a lot of auto healing over time kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
the auto healing is, as you can see, the auto healing is not as prominent as it used to be it's actually you're right. I don't think there's not much of an auto heal in here. Pretty much, if you get shot and you don't find a medic, you're gonna die if you get shot again. It's literally as simple as that.
Alright, sorry, we got a question here on Twitter. This is from Chetbait. So his question today is for the guy who's playing Battlefield, Keegan. Are you single? He's asking for a friend.
No.
I think you have your answer, Chet.
Keegan is taken.
I'm sorry.
Just hit up the DMs.
Yeah.
We won't know. We won't know. We've got
so continuing on.
Sorry, actually, speaking of questions, we got one from Sam here on YouTube that's asking how PC friendly is the game? Is the laptop holding up?
Oh, no, it's doing pretty well.
Yeah, so Keegan
I've been stressing it under load for quite some time right now, and it hasn't dipped once. Aside from Windows having Windows, but that was it.
Well, I mean, that's Windows. Anyone who plays on PC will know Windows will always have a Windows.
See, even with all that particle effects going on, it didn't
yeah, so I will say I'm really... obviously, I use the Gigabyte laptop for a lot of like testing and stuff. Or we will use the Gigabyte, should I say, for our testing for PC. And the reason why we use the Gigabyte is because it's really quiet on the fans. I mean, obviously, you know, you can't even hear it. We can't even hear it barely over our speaking.
It's actually quite a nice improvement because you know the whole stealth vibe it's got going. And obviously, Battlefield is not a game that's easy on tech. It really takes a lot out of the system. And for the laptop to actually run that optimally is amazing.
Definitely. I mean, we're running the GPU that's recommended and a CPU that's a bit higher than recommended for Battlefield, but we've also cranked settings up as high as we can. So the fact that the laptop is fairly quiet, actually very quiet, really. It's not overheating to a point where it's going to thermal throttle. It's got a good regulation and stuff.
I'm not last.
Keegan's not last, and he's excited about that. Should have higher aspirations in life, but anyway.
No.
Nah. Yeah, so the laptop's holding up really, really well. The game is also very well optimized for PC from what we've seen. On our side, there's been no drops, no frame dips, no lagging issues. So I mean, the only lag we've really seen is to the server, but I mean that's going to be regardless.
It comes with, regardless anyway. That just depends on the server.
That's actually something I wanted to say about Battlefield series as a whole, and especially 5. During the beta, there was no problem with server lag at all that I found. I mean, I think one day I played for a good 6 hours or so, and really no server lag whatsoever. And I mean, that was in the beta, and I haven't seen any server lag here for the actual full game, should I say. So that's one thing. I had the same thing with the Battlefield 1, and I'm sure most people will agree. I know Keegan will agree as well. Battlefield has always worked so well with the servers, no matter where you are. You know, you're playing, obviously we play in Europe. The South African servers, honestly, there's no difference between the South African and the Europe, for me at least. Obviously, I know people will enjoy their 5 millisecond ping, which is great. I mean, don't get me wrong.
When I was playing Battlefield 1, I never encountered any server problems at all. And for a multiplayer game, I'm really not the best online multiplayer guy. And I really get frustrated when it comes to just servers that make me wait 10 to 15 minutes for a game. But Battlefield is a completely different story. Servers are always maintained beautifully.
100%. I agree 100%. And the nice thing is as well, no matter where the players are, I mean, obviously if you play on European servers, you'll see a lot of South Africans on there, but you'll also see a lot of, obviously Europeans, but not just Europeans from the UK. It'll be Europeans from Germany, from Poland, all of these different places, and everything just works so well. There's no issues with any player. Which is really great as well. So another question we got on YouTube is Zonora, who asks, why did you guys give Keegan the PC? He's going to kill all the horses. Would you like to explain?
Hi, Shelly.
We're not playing Red Dead, Shelly. We aren't.
For context, Keegan decided that horses were necessary in Red Dead, and he decided to go on a killing spree of all of them. And not accidental either. He maliciously killed all of them.
It's a genocide of horses.
We don't know why. So we've banned him from playing.
The doctor said it's a condition, and they're going to treat it eventually.
I think that's not a condition. I think that's just you hate horses.
I don't
need to know why. Why do you hate horses?
So the good thing is we're playing Battlefield 5. Battlefield 1 had horses.
Yes.
Battlefield 5 doesn't. I don't think it has horses.
So to answer your question, Shirley, we gave him the PC because this doesn't have horses that we can see. Once there's horses, he's being confiscated from. So, why do you hate horses? Just answer the question. Why do you hate horses?
Maybe because they just think they're better than anyone.
Wow.
Probably.
Wow. See, elitism.
Jumping back into the gameplay. What is going on screen? Because this level of destruction is a bit bewildering.
Keegan appears to be camping in a tank, shooting at barrels instead of players.
Yeah, because the guy who's controlling the tank.
Yes. I forgot about that. The dual tank wielding system is quite strange. I remember playing the Battlefield 1 and even the beta.
I'm suppressing people
on that Norway map that you were on earlier, and I still remember the
can we go
the tank Every time you speak, I lose my train of thought.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry, so yeah, the tank,
Just leaving because
the
it's
one guy
fine.
drives and obviously the other guy shoots, which was Keegan. I don't know which one's worse. But that was a really weird system for me to get used to because obviously, we're so used to control, especially in the single player, the war stories, you're used to driving and shooting yourself. And then over here, you just have one element to control, which would sound easier, except you get frustrated when the one guy just sits there and you want to shoot at something, but he's nowhere near anyone and he's not moving
back to
anywhere.
sniping. I feel like that's the only time I do it.
Do it.
I'm leaving the tank. People in tanks just don't know that it can move. Frankly.
So when it comes to how Battlefield has changed from what we've seen in obviously the old days of Battlefield 1942 all the way to now, can we talk about the evolution of Battlefield?
My aim.
Yeah.
Where has the series come from?
Yeah, so Battlefield 1942 was obviously, I think for me, and I think a lot of people out there would agree as well, is that 1942 was probably the best Battlefield game. Obviously, aside from these newer titles and stuff, but 1942 was a proper, true reflection of World War II and being in combat during that time and stuff. I feel like Battlefield. I mean, obviously, we don't get a lot of World War I games. Funny enough, so Battlefield
I
1
think
was
actually, if I'm not mistaken, Battlefield 1 was one of the only games to do World War 1.
Yeah.
And it actually did World War One justice.
No, definitely. I mean, that sounds a bit weird to say. We're not saying World War One is justified.
No, you're not saying it's justified, but I'm saying for how authentic it actually captured World War One. It was actually really well done.
No, 100%. And I think the Battlefield 1 was refreshing because we got that World War One. And Battlefield and Call of Duty, which were really World War II centric. I mean, most shooters at that time obviously were World War II centric.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to actually play something that was World War One. It was a bit of a fresh take on things, and I think that's why they got away with the reimagination of all the vehicles and stuff as well. Yeah, is because, I mean,
in a person.
Again, welcome to Battlefield.
Welcome to Battlefield.
Yeah, if you don't spawn in someone's butt, then you're not spawning.
Yeah,
it's just
literally the circle of life.
Exactly.
I see the pun.
Yeah, so I think the series has evolved extremely well.
Yeah.
I think also for me, my favorite titles in the Battlefield series has been Bad Company.
Yeah,
actually,
the Bad Company games are phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean the Bad Company was also extremely interesting to watch. Soldiers become soldiers of fortune.
Yeah.
Really, and it was just also again it was refreshing because it was something different. Something you're not just a soldier following orders over and over. It was good storylines that were told well for me at least. So yeah, I found that the series has evolved extremely well.
Yeah.
I think Keegan would also agree that the series has evolved.
Oh yeah,
quite well.
I like the direction they've taken. They found themselves.
Yeah.
As a Battlefield. I feel in this world where we got battle royales coming left, right, and center, Battlefield really has made a winning formula.
Well, speaking of which, Battlefield 5 will be getting a battle royale in March next year, as far as we know. So we're just gotta wait for that. But and you say you've also been playing Battlefield series for quite a while now.
I've been playing it for quite a while. Just 5. I'm waiting. Just holding back my excitement just a little bit. But once I do get into it, though, the one thing I am genuinely looking forward to, and I know this is surprising coming from me, who generally does not like battle royale, is Firestorm. It just Firestorm sounds incredible.
Yeah.
And it's from Criterion Games, so I have full faith that this mode is going to be
definitely
probably one of the better iterations of Battle Royale out there. Yeah.
I still find that a bit perplexing in it. It's like from the creators of Burnout.
From the creators of Burnout comes Battle Royale. I will take that. Thank you. That is an awesome Battle Royale idea.
It's literally so.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like a weird concept. I get that, but it's still Burnout, dude.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's just like
great. Do we have any questions or comments there?
Nothing on this side. Your side?
No, YouTube. I see Springbok 3000 says game looks amazing. Really does.
Really does. This is an incredible looking game.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously we're playing on the PC. We're playing on the Gigabyte laptop here, but we also checked out some footage of the. We've also checked out footage of other systems running at the moment, and some lower end hardware as well is also running extremely well.
Actually, that is surprising. Yeah.
Considering, and again, it comes back to
the
it comes back to the optimization of the game, and something I think DICE also, again, like we said earlier, works extremely well on is optimization of because obviously you release specs, but you always think you have to think of the you have to think of the guy who doesn't necessarily have that kind of money to throw around really on a maybe on an 18,000 rand system, but we've got a comment from Necrodust who says, "What's up, Keegan?" First off.
What's up?
And he says also, "I hope the Battle Royale mode will solve the mid-game issue of not finding other players to kill." I think Firestorm's going to work out a lot better because...
One thing I am hoping for that Firestorm does do is keep the players down to 64, like Battlefield has always done, and keep the maps roughly about the same size. Because if Firestorm is going to have this larger-than-life map of Blackout, for example. Not that I'm saying Blackout's map is bad inherently, but I would like a smaller, more personal, condensed map to play on.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the whole finding other players to kill, like I said, I think it's going to do well because most people will pick up Battlefield now for the multiplayer and for the war stories. And then obviously play it through until March. And hopefully it will give the developers time, give DICE enough time to also refine a lot of things that they find wrong in multiplayers. I mean, not that there's much really wrong, but obviously right now servers are pretty empty aside from some, pre-order goodies and Origin accounts and things like that. But once the servers actually go live worldwide and they start getting populated more and more, obviously issues will bound to come up over the course of it. And we'll give DICE enough time to really refine it and then really get it down. So, and hopefully they start making changes to Blackout to optimize it even more. Maybe adding content that we don't know about yet. Sorry, Firestorm. My bad. I mean, I think in terms of finding other players, I think maybe Battlefield has a better following. I want to say.
Okay, that's an issue mainly I've had with just my experiences with Battle Royale games is you jump into a match and you expect it to be exciting and action-packed and you're going to shoot everyone who's coming your way.
But there's a lot of camping out.
There's a lot of camping, there's a lot of waiting and there's a lot of walking and no action going on for a large... Like, if you're going to play a half-an-hour match, for example, you're going to see maybe 5 minutes of action. And I feel like that's something Firestorm needs to address, is how do we keep the action constantly moving, like the multiplayer aspect we see now, while also keeping it a fun and engaging Battle Royale experience.
So the problem with these Battle Royales is everyone gets so... I mean, the problem is everyone wants that coveted number one, and unfortunately... camping out or whatever is a strategy now. As much as we hate it, it is actually a strategy to get that number one. So, I mean, hopefully, obviously, it all comes. It also depends on the players. People who are interested in actually running around shooting people. Hopefully, there's going to be more of that. But
you see, the problem that comes with that is not everyone can be your typical ninja and just go out, shoot people, have a blast kind of style. Everyone wants to win at the end of the day.
For sure.
So they need to make a way to force.
Well, I mean, Battle Royales in the past have that's why they have that closing circle system. Is to force players to move in closer to each other so that you get a little bit more action. But I mean, that doesn't always work out because people just move from house to house and then that's it. You have like 2 minutes of quick gameplay and then you sit out for another.
Can I just talk about how cool Firestorm's actual circle is going to be? Because what Firestorm is doing is essentially sticking to what Battlefield does best, and that's large-scale destruction. So Firestorm is going to be a literal firestorm. That's going to be the circle around the map, and it's going to continuously destroy the environment, becoming smaller and smaller. And I think that is so much more cooler than gas clouds or just a storm
or just imaginary circles.
Or imaginary circles. That is so much cooler. And I love that. That sticks to the themes of Battlefield while also evolving Battle Royale in a really cool way.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I'm also excited for Firestorm, and like you said as well, I really hope they keep it to the 64-player system that they've got going because it works well. 100 players is cool, but it's also just too many.
It is a bit too much. 100 players. We've hit that point where we've sort of figured out that 100 players
just
is going to be...
in to die.
Keegan has died again.
I don't even know why we're announcing this. It's like
it's literally there. 1 and 2. I just spawned
Spawn
and
kills.
Yeah.
every game is rage. So as I was saying, so a lot of the times, there's 100 players on the map, and you're thinking this map is going to be, you're going to see everyone in the goldfish walking around.
Don't kill me. Don't you dare.
That's not the case. Battlefield, on the other hand, it's got 64 players, but also the maps are the perfect size for 64 players to accommodate 64 players.
Yeah.
So when you actually look at the gameplay going on here, every few meters there's someone you see in your sights. There's someone there. And I feel like if you put this in a battle royale game, it's not going to just make the games more fast-paced, more quicker. There's going to be this level of urgency to everything that I think is just going to be amazing. Couple that with a literal destructive firestorm that is destroying the environment. That's going to be the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, no, definitely. So let's see what we've got here as well. So Zane McLaren also says, I see Keegan.
Alright.
We would hope.
Keegan.
I just got blown into pieces. Yay.
Really? Again? Necrodust again says the guns pack a real good punch. That's another thing as well about Battlefield that I've always enjoyed is the fact that it's not like a case of where you got to shoot someone 60,000 times and have every bullet register to actually take them out. It's literally a good few shots and then that's it. They're done. Which keeps that fast action, that intensity up because you respawn and like as you can see on the footage here, like Keegan is. Yeah, he's died a few times, but every time he comes back up and he's immediately sprinting to go back to find someone to take out.
That's also because I'm mentally impaired. But
well, I mean, it's the gameplay. It's the way that the game shifts you to... the goal is to not get shot, though.
I'm
that
trying
is
to
the
work
goal.
on that, eh?
But,
when you talk about guns packing this punch, one thing that I actually noticed about this gameplay that's fantastic is when you're actually shooting an enemy, there's this weighty feel to it. There's this like the guns have this own like little physics thing going on, where every recoil, every bounce back of the gun, it's just this amazing like weighty kind of heavy feel to it. And I feel like that's so representative of the guns themselves.
DICE did announce during their presentation that they were putting a lot of effort into the physics and animation for the game. And it clearly translates. You literally feel it in every small detail.
No, 100%. So Keegan, you were called a pro by Sam Plays. And that's coming from a professional.
Thanks, Sam.
So Thank you, Sam Plays. He is trying his best.
He's trying his best.
I promise. He is trying his best.
150%.
Yeah, we're setting up a Battlefield 5 esports team.
Coming soon. The only member.
Except we're gonna be the top bottom kind of thing.
Top bottom.
You qualify by having a higher death ratio than the kill ratio.
There we go. That's it. That's
we're going to be creating our new mode in Battlefield. It's called how many times can you actually die in a match. And
I killed the person. Yes.
How
I died.
Or we can also play a little competition, a little game of how low can Keegan bring my
KD ratio.
My KD ratio.
It's gonna be lovely.
It's gonna be fantastic.
I actually endorse that.
I see you ranked up to private too.
Thanks.
Nice. It's only taking you like 30 minutes, but nice.
I mean, slow and steady wins the race.
Alright, so do we have any other comments, questions?
On YouTube at the moment, we actually just got one right now. Springbok 3000, can we see a teabag in action?
Keegan,
there you go.
No, you go.
But I have to go kill a person.
Yeah,
go kill a person.
That could be the problem. The problem requirement right there is the killing person part. But Springbok, we are going to try for you.
Before this try ends, I will. Well, the match is ended.
Okay, with 241 spawns.
I mean, that has nothing to do with me. Guys, there is no I in team. This is a
good
team
game.
effort.
Springbok, we will try our teabag in the next round.
I only was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th last from the bottom.
You actually weren't terrible.
Exactly. So blame whoever
everyone
that person was at the bottom. It's not picking up.
Blame the people who shot you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
That too.
All right.
So I just want to mention, if you're on Twitter, send us a message to at Nexus_AWX, and we will also be responding to your questions over there.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. So we're just waiting for Keegan to move into the next round.
I mean, this is the longest I've stayed alive.
Yeah.
And that's the best part.
One thing I think let's sort of bring this up as a point of discussion, because I think it was inevitably going to become a point of discussion in here. What do you think about the integration of female characters into Battlefield 5?
Yeah, so I think let's give Keegan a chance to talk first.
To be honest, in multiplayer I haven't noticed yet. I I mean, I've just been dying. So I guess that's equality in some way. Bullets are bullets, regardless of where they come from.
I feel like that was a very odd answer.
Well, I'm really still pretty angry that I've been doing nothing but dying, so forgive me.
Just when it comes to the female aspects, I know personally, it really wasn't an issue for me. I mean, granted, whoever you want to play as, whichever gender you want to play as, you can do, and I like that Battlefield 5 is actually giving us that option right now. I know it's always been a point of contention saying, oh hey, it's not historically accurate, per se, but to that I respond, these are video games. I mean, they're not meant to be the most historically accurate thing, and I know I'm not necessarily taking EA's side on this, but there is a level of historical accuracy that you have to include in your game, but you also have to make the video game entertaining, and I feel like
I feel like the addition of female characters into Battlefield 5 brought up a lot of unnecessary conflict within the community, because there were a lot of people who were unhappy about it because, like you said, the historical accuracy. And okay, I mean, I understand that point of view, I do. But at the same token, if you really don't want to play as a female, then just don't play as a female.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same qualm I have against a lot of other systems that have been introduced into games that people aren't happy with. And again, if you don't like it, just don't play as that female. And in terms of the historical accuracy point of view, while I tend to agree, there's a lot of this is also historically inaccurate. Considering if you get shot and you're bleeding out, you're not going to just automatically get saved with an injection. So if we're talking about realism, then we need to be extremely realistic and turn this into a simulator.
That's why I'm saying, for the sake of it being a video game, obviously certain liberties need to be taken when it comes to that. And I feel like with the inclusion of female characters, there is obviously going to be that backlash. Because, females, as far as I know, they didn't have the most major roles in World War II. Obviously, there was a lot of females serving as nurses, medics, all these great people on the field. Just there wasn't anyone necessarily on the battlefield. There were a few countries that did have females serving as soldiers on the front line, but it wasn't as prominent as sort of what the game sort of
brings it out
to be. But to that I say, look, this is a Battlefield game. This is a video game. Let people have fun.
But also, I mean, again, what does it harm anyone to have a female character who's playable? I don't understand. The thing is, like, for me, I've always had a thing where, I've always believed that if it doesn't affect the gameplay, what difference does it make? You know what I mean? If it's an aesthetic thing, then why kick up a fuss? By all means, I can understand if you feel unhappy about the historical inaccuracy, and I mean, there are logical ways of refuting that, but more than anything, again, I understand you can raise your arguments by all means, and that's, again, one of the beautiful things about the gaming industry is obviously the differences in opinion and things like that. But I think for the community to have kicked up a fuss so much over the whole female thing was a little unnecessary. Considering, like I said, what does it hurt anyone? I mean,
ultimately, this didn't really alter my perception of Battlefield 5 itself, because the game is still, in my opinion, it looks phenomenal.
100%. And again, it increases the inclusion of different people. So any time that someone wants to oppose the inclusion of different people or representations of different peoples in games, I feel like it's very short-sighted almost. Not to get too political about it, but because why not? That's the beauty of video games as always, that this is an art form for people to express their ideas and their views and things like that. So I think for Battlefield 5 to take a bold step and include female characters in a World War II setting, I think is really phenomenal. I love it. I think it's great.
Getting to some of the questions, do you have anything on our stream?
So Necrodust seems to like Keegan very well, because he said you did well in your last round. So thanks Necrodust. Sam Plays asks, how do you guys feel about the historical inaccuracies regarding the weapons? Again, I think this ties into our discussion that we just finished up now, in that, it's a game. I mean, this isn't a simulator of World War II.
Okay, sorry, just interrupt you there for a second. To answer your question, I think in Battlefield 1, you need look no further than that. Obviously, there wasn't a lot of semi-automatic weapons in World War 1. But Battlefield 1 chose to give a lot of attention to them. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, they are trying to make a first-person shooter, I feel. And with the first-person shooter comes this very fast-paced nature.
Yeah.
So if you have to historically stick to World War I's weapons, World War I's like overall the usage of the artillery, it's going to be a very slow-paced experience, and I feel that's going to be taking the pacing out of
definitely.
each match, and obviously taking some of the fun factor out.
No, definitely.
So the same thing with Battlefield 5, obviously with the inclusion of a lot more semi-automatic weapons, it does add this fast-paced.
This is for Springbok.
Oh, there we go, Springbok.
Springbok, we're bringing a tea bag to you.
There is. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
For you, Springbok.
Guys, don't be toxic in gaming.
Just don't be toxic, please. But that was
we
fun.
did that for you.
Tea bag at your own risk.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, you were saying about the inaccuracies.
So I think for the sake of obviously making the gameplay, making the game itself feel more fun, more fast-paced, they had to sort of take liberties with the weapons, and hopefully Sam plays that answers your question. I feel like for the sake of making it an entertaining video game, this liberty is a necessary evil. But
I mean, also at the same token, you know, we're not exactly running around shooting World War II weapons on a daily basis. So to be quite honest, I wouldn't know the difference between what's real and what's not, honestly. Like, for me, what's on screen is what they used on the field. So I think that's one thing as well, is like people complaining about the inaccuracies with the weapons, but they've never shot any of these weapons in their life. So how do you know? You know what I mean? It's and also, again, more than that, it's like you said as well, it's a game. I mean, it's
a video game.
Exactly. It's meant to be entertaining, it's meant to be fun, and if that, like you said, if they have to take liberties with the weapon irregularities or whatever, if they have to do that in order to make it entertaining, then by all means, go ahead. I've got no problem. I mean, like I said, I've never shot these weapons in my life, so I wouldn't know if what just happened there was good or bad. I don't know. I mean,
moving on.
Yeah. So Dia says hi, Keegan.
Hi, Dia.
The Jude commented saying, "Come on, Keegan, you can do it. They have to run out of bullets eventually."
Yes,
I feel like that's the only way he's going to run.
That is true. You go, boy.
Springbok says, loving your work, gents. No bag, no kill. Thanks, Springbok.
Thanks, man.
Okay, just debug him again then. Just to...
So we got a comment from Desfly regarding the historical inaccuracies, who says they are everywhere in games. If we were pedantic about historical inaccuracies, no one would play a game where your gun jams in numerous environments, and that's actually something I forgot about as well. You know, obviously Far Cry introduced that whole gun jamming system in the second one, I think, and it was really pedantic about that, and it was the most irritating thing I've ever experienced in my life, because yes, it introduced that realism, and that was fun for a whole 5 minutes, and then when your gun jams for the 23rd time in a clip, it gets irritating because you're getting shot at, now your gun jams, and then what? Now you just...
I feel like, there would be that certain level of realism that would be detrimental to the game, and I don't think you want to really... make your players angry
100%,
in that regard.
And I mean, obviously, video games, we want the realism, but I think a lot, I think for myself and for, I'm sure you guys here as well, but historical accuracies for me regards maybe more to maps or aesthetics, or not even aesthetics really, but other than that, I don't want realistic weapon systems, because you know, realistic weapon systems back then were not good. That is why it's been improved to this day. You know, gun jams were a real thing, as Des has said. You know, and to have that happen on the battlefield, now you know you've got a lobby of 32 players against you. And you're sitting there trying to figure out a gun jam while people are shooting at you with a tank.
Obviously, if you want to argue about historical accuracy, saying if you're not going to have gun jams in your game, it's going to be historically accurate. I'm saying for the sake of entertainment, making it a fun game. It's not fun kind of hiding behind a bunker trying to de-jam while you have guys shooting at you.
100%.
I can see why they wouldn't include certain realistic aspects like that. Because that is sort of unnecessary features that would be in the game.
And you know, the thing is, a lot of games have tried to introduce it, like Far Cry 2 and whatever. Games have tried to introduce it in the past, and it hasn't worked out well for them. A lot of critics have argued that, yes, it was great for the first 10 minutes or so, but then afterwards it just gets annoying because you're just spending half your time trying to unjam your game. You got hammered by a 6-pounder. beautiful.
Did you see that guy's clan tag?
And in terms of
Very
historical,
creative.
in terms of inaccuracies, I just want to say, if you get shot with a 6-pounder, you do fly like that. So I think Battlefield's got that down pretty well.
I think they pretty much know
Yeah.
the physics of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so...
I almost get the sense that they've tested this multiple times. Getting shot
so
at.
again? What?
Almost get the sense
Yeah.
that they've been shot at wow, just not going that way. Just now.
Keegan's deserting, as we can see in the gameplay.
So Glenn says, what's up?
Again, my boy.
Welcome to the stream.
Yeah. So Necrodas says, agree with Rob on historical accuracies for certain elements. Thanks, Necro. And yeah, sorry, as I was saying with the Far Cry thing, a lot of games have tried to introduce realistic systems. I'm trying to remember.
There were a few other games that obviously did it in the past.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There was a game that used to have a weapon clip, I think, system thing.
Yeah.
Where I think you had to have physical clips on you to reload your ammo or something like that. I could be remembering horribly wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's again, the realism is great on certain things.
Yeah.
But I feel like it doesn't need to be in absolutely everything. You know,
Yeah.
we don't need realistic settings for absolutely everything. What's going on?
Press the thing.
You tap.
Hey,
There
thank
we
you.
go. All right.
I play PS4 people.
Technical difficulties. We gotta.
I'm the technical difficulty.
Yeah, he's the technical difficulty. Sorry, so Necro comments again and says that death was massive.
Oof. Keegan, make us proud, man.
Yeah. You know, you're representing Nexus here. All of our throats on the line.
Shows the worst person to represent me. Whose idea was this?
Yours.
Oh.
Alright, so
Yeah.
obviously I think one
Getting
thing
back
that a
to it,
lot
yeah.
of people want to talk about Battlefield 5 is what's the esports potential of this game? How is this going to fit well into the esports scene?
Well, I think, obviously Battlefield 1 had a very good multiplayer following, but
Yeah.
I think it appeals more to that casual gaming.
Yeah.
In terms of most of the esports, considering Battlefield 5 is not a title people generally tend to go and upgrade their systems for just to play it better, you know, whereas things like Overwatch, Counter-Strike, Dota, you know, these all aren't necessarily graphically intensive, so you can get those extremely high refresh rates for most of those titles. So Battlefield 5 is always, it's got good esport potential, but I feel like it's got good esports potential in terms of casual gaming, or, you know, more for that couch gaming type of the console.
So you don't feel it's catering to a more competitive market?
I mean, obviously there's a competitive element to it. I mean, any online multiplayer is going to have that competitive element to it. But I feel that Battlefield 5 is, like I said, again, it's more for the, I suppose, more for the gamer who's got a couple of hours to kill every night before they go to bed. You know, maybe over a weekend.
That's literally been my Battlefield 1 experience when I was playing the game. You know, it wasn't the game I felt like, you know, enticed to go online and just be the best person I could. It was more of the casual kind of multiplayer game where I didn't mind just going in, jumping into a few matches and then jumping out. So in that aspect, it's more laid back kind of multiplayer. But in no means does it like take away from the fact that, you know, this game is going to be quite an esports heavy hitter if they do give it the attention it needs. Because I feel like with Battlefield 1 they didn't quite capitalize on it, whereas Infinite Warfare at the time just sort of shot ahead in that department.
I think, also for me personally, can't really speak for a lot of other people, but for me personally, I feel like Battlefield is far more entertaining to watch as esports. Obviously, aside from your CSGO and Overwatch and things like that. Like, again, the reason why I still feel it's different to those is because Overwatch, CSGO, Dota, they've got, you know, I want to say real-time strats, but that's a bit of a wrong thing to say. But they've got actually set strategies that you should be employing as a team, you know, to kind of make sure that you win and dominate every round. Whereas Battlefield is not that it's not a good team game. I just feel like Battlefield is a lot more run and shoot, more than just like, okay, we're actually going to go here. You know, unless you're playing, obviously, I think Keegan's playing Conquest. So I suppose a team deathmatch would call for a bit more, you know, working with your team and actually communicating and just developing a strat. But I feel like Overwatch and CSGO, those are games built around solid teamwork that you actually need to, you know, as as horrible as the community in those games can be, when those teams actually work well together, it is really something to see. And Battlefield is, like I said, it's a bit more mindless fun. Is actually. So yeah, I think it does have good esports potential. Like you said, if they can actually figure out a way to enhance that competitive aspect, to really make it a bit more intense. That's the word I was looking for. Intense. I feel like it's going to be really good as an online competitive esports game.
Right. Just one question that I've always been curious about Battlefield 5 is obviously when it comes to the gameplay and just how fluid it is. I think I should pass over to Keegan right now since he's actually playing the game.
Yeah.
In terms of the fluidity, the movement of everything, how does it feel in comparison to maybe other first-person shooters in the genre?
I would really put this on above par if I were to compare.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to compare to games that came out this year like Black Ops 4 and things like that, it really, really, really has a lot more depth to it. Especially like, shooting people like this and reloading my gun. It feels like it has a presence.
I noticed it's all like so fast. Like when you reload your gun and then whoop back into action, it's like
obviously FPSs now lately have been going the more tactical route rather than the run and gun. Which you can see now with this whole healing mechanic thing that they got going on. And all that kind of stuff. But I feel like this is as Battlefield as we're going to get in this day and age, especially with the modern features being added to first-person shooters lately. So I'm
Okay, there we go. Got a comment from Rishi Shan, I think I'm pronouncing that right, who says, awesome stream, Keegan, you're killing it, boo.
Aww. You go, Keegan.
With a heart emoji, because they really like you.
Kill and don't be killed. As I say that, Keegan is killed.
Yeah,
Keegan's animation going
Keegan's losing the whole don't be killed thing. But
I mean, I am 6th place. This is a massive improvement.
Wow.
So obviously Battlefield, okay, now that I actually saw that image, there's a lot of vehicles that you can actually get in the game. What new vehicles have you seen in Battlefield 5 that you can play with?
Oh,
one of the greatest vehicles in my opinion that Battlefield 5 offers is the Spitfire.
Yeah.
What a machine! Because I mean, obviously Spitfire, when introduced onto the battlefield of World War II in real life, it really changed the landscape completely. Totally redesigned plane. It was extremely effective at being. It was quick, it was accurate, and it was able to turn on sharp corners very well in the air.
Yeah.
So the Spitfire really changed the landscape of World War II battlefield.
Yeah.
So to have it, to play it in the game is really, really cool. I'm not really one for land vehicles, to be honest. Just because I feel like they're not as much fun as running and dying.
Yeah.
Like that. Just an example.
That was completely different example.
Keegan, your more favoured vehicles so far?
The Churchill and the Jagdpanzer. That for me is just, I love my tanks.
Yeah. So one thing you were mentioning off the stream is how authentic some of these tanks are in this game. And I think that's going to be a huge selling point for a lot of people who do like their tanks.
Like me.
A lot of tank enthusiasts that play World of Tanks religiously.
Yeah.
I think might please you. Because obviously a lot of people had a problem with...
This guy has such a very fruitful clan tag. I mean, wow. Just well done, Uncle Lam.
Gotta love the community sometimes.
I love the community. Thank you, community.
Thank you.
Amazing.
You really make... Maybe he's Dutch, guys.
It means shoe.
In Dutch, that's just a cat. So anyway,
moving on.
Yeah, I think like the weapon. Sorry, not the weapon. The vehicle again. So going back to the vehicle thing. Obviously, the Winston. Again, World War II's got a lot of the vehicles that everyone kind of envies. Not envies. Celebrates almost. It looks the most forward to. So
because they have solidified what we have in our day and age. Rolls Royce would be nothing without the Spitfire or the Cromwell.
Exactly. And I just think to really utilize these iconic vehicles in this setting, obviously looking as great as they do in this engine and.
So I mean, one of the coolest childhood experiences I had was I went to a World War II museum as an excursion with my school. And just the amount of stuff I saw there was not just weapons, but just the vehicles that were used in this war was just insane. And this isn't saying like almost like a celebratory thing, but almost like a wow, this is how far mankind was at that point in time. You know, where obviously the tragic events of Hiroshima and all of that, but then you actually see what some of the countries developed during this war. And it's mind-blowing. It honestly is so mind-blowing.
So one thing I also wanted to touch on was the landscapes in Battlefield 5 versus 1. And the landscapes in Battlefield 5 really change the way you play. Obviously, you know, this is a bit more tight-knit, a lot of corners. There's a lot of long shots like Keegan's doing now. But there's also, you know, there's that tight corners. People are hiding everywhere and every nook and cranny and things like that. Whereas, you know, you've got your more open landscapes. I think it's Arabia where you play. Oh, Libya. Which is a lot. Obviously, it's more flat. So you've got a lot more open air and a lot more long shots to do. So
I think that's also just a testament to how well designed some of these maps are. I mean, obviously this has been one of the highest praises I could give Battlefield in the past is their map design is impeccable. They've always had these huge maps that have this tactility to them, this versatility to them. Whether you're playing as a sniper, whether you're playing as a close combat person.
Did we win?
And did you actually win?
No, you didn't. You lost by 125 spawns.
You did lose.
I mean, I'm not last this time.
At least you're not 195 spawns behind. But I mean,
GG Keegan.
60 more games and I'll definitely improve. This guy is playing with a dog.
Where?
There, right there. Can't you see the little dog icon right there?
Dog eye.
Okay, I thought you meant his character was actually a dog. I'm going to be quite excited about that and sad at the same time. So, the Jude says on the YouTubes here, if you want some amazing info on World War II weaponry, you should chat to Grant, who's one of the other guys in the building. I think it'll be interesting to find out.
Actually, I would be so curious to find out more about this.
Right. So far we've been an hour. Hopefully we haven't bored you too much.
Hopefully Keegan's gameplay has kept you entertained. I mean, all those deaths is just, it's entertaining for us to personally watch. But
Christopher, because he left our squad.
Christopher has betrayed us, but really...
but Uncle Lambo still stays strong.
Maybe his IP abandoned him.
That's true.
So... yeah, if you guys have any comments or questions, again, please let us know on our Twitter feed at Nexus_AWX, or you can also hop onto our YouTube channel and just drop a chat comment there. So we're probably going to play for about an hour more. I mean, half an hour more, roughly. I think about half an hour should be good. About one more match, which is...
let's probably give it one more match.
So again,
this is the map that was featured in the trailers quite often.
So in the marketing for leading up to Battlefield 5, this is a really iconic map in some cases because this is you've been used a lot in the trailers and showing off the gameplay, and this is an amazing map. You guys will come to see right now.
I'm trying to remember what the new... I don't think... so this was...
wow!
This is also a brand new map for me as well, because there was only 2 maps available in the beta, which was Norway and I think Rotterdam. There was only 2 maps available. Was it? Yeah, something like that.
As I was saying, like in just how this game was marketed, obviously a lot of the maps that are present in the game are quite accurate to World War II because a lot of these locations were key locations in World War II. But I also feel that DICE has given the limelight to certain countries that probably weren't given too much attention to. For example, the Norway.
Definitely.
You know, the ice caps of Norway, the mountains, the aurora lights and stuff, the northern lights. It's so incredible to look at. And we actually play the game and see some of this visual effects and everything. It's incredible. It's so good.
So Necrodust asks if there will be maps centered around the Pacific conflict of the war. I'm actually not sure.
Well, they did say Tides of War were going to be events based on actual real-time war.
And Tides of War are going to be also time time placed. I want
Yeah,
to say
yeah.
time placed. So they're going to be accurate to the timing of what actually when it actually happened. In those years.
Just quickly for those of you who don't know, Tides of War is basically the live service that Battlefield 5 has going for it. And for a lot of people, this is really cool because this is one of the few games that EA has actively come out and said all post-launch content will be free. And that is a really awesome thing for them to do. It'll be the same thing with Anthem when that comes out.
And I think that's I mean, one, that just further increases that immersion aspect is the fact that, you know, these live events will be at the same time and on the same days as what the events actually happened in World War II, which is really awesome.
I think that's a really nice touch.
No, definitely. And it's something so small that you know, simple timing, you know, it really creates that different feeling.
Basically any history buff who knows his calendars will immediately pick up on the fact that this date is coming. This is what Battlefield 5 is probably going to have in the game, and I think that's really cool.
No, definitely. And also, I mean, speaking, you know, it goes back to that whole the amount of content that is in Battlefield 5 so far, that we've seen, is just really phenomenal. Like, we've got Tides of War that's coming up. We've got the Firestorm that's coming in March as well, and not only is it, you know, free for players who have the base game all the way through to the deluxe, but it's just it just gives it's a single game that gives so many players so many different options to play. You know, you've got your traditional multiplayer matches, your Conquest, Team Deathmatch, things like that, but then you've also got the Tides of War, which is going to be really interesting to play. I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm really looking forward to that.
And Firestorm, which hopefully is going to bring a fresh enough take on the Battle Royale setting. But also, I mean, even so, like, it's just interesting to see what different developers do with the same game modes. But I mean,
Fatal Injury,
you know,
what the hell was that?
It means you died.
Yeah, I know, but that's never
Fancy way of saying you died.
Yeah, basically.
But sorry.
No, as I was saying, there was something that I found that was intrinsically quite appealing about Battlefield 5's just overall. The way World War II actually looks in Battlefield 5 is unlike anything we've seen it look before in other World War II games. Because other World War II games are always dark, they're always gritty, they're always this washed up browns and dirty. Battlefield 5 is remarkably more colorful than I think any other World War II game has done before.
And also a lot more true in terms of the color of the different cities and stuff that they're placed in. You know, obviously Libya, I mean, is a desert, so it's obviously got that more brown, you know, dusty color. Whereas obviously now you can see in the European maps, you know, Norway was, like you said, those aurora lights were just phenomenal, and you've got the different snow and things like that. And you know, the buildings are also different in color as well. You've got the yellow buildings, you know, red doors, things like that. And
everything about just like the color and palette of Battlefield 5, everything just pops, you know, and it makes the graphics in turn look much more attractive.
No, 100%. Again, Necrodust says the spawns are so seamless. They really are.
They really are.
And that was one thing I picked up on the Battlefield 1 as well. And they seem to have improved in Battlefield 5 here, is the way that the spawn, you know, you select your squad mate that you want to spawn on, and it also gives a bit of a tactical edge to it, because, you know, you got to decide, okay, if I spawn here, and it's quick thinking as well. You don't have a whole bunch of time to sit and think about this. So you got to think on your feet. That's a Panzer.
Oh, I just got driven over.
Did you get driven over? Anyway, so you know, you got to quickly think about these things. You got to think just, okay, if I spawn here, there's, you know, certain checkpoints have been taken, and there's everyone converging on one point. Let's try and find a squad mate that's closest there. So I really love the spawning in Battlefield series.
And also, it's not a kind of thing where obviously Call of Duty has this problem where you can literally camp out at a point, at a spawn point, wait for people to show up and just kill them immediately and get a spawn kill. Battlefield 5 is very different. It's very smart in where places on the map. So it's not a point advantage. Like, for example, when we see Keegan spawn in right here, he can choose where he wants to spawn in. So and where he actually spawns in is a very out in the open kind of thing. This is not a place where you can actually just camp and wait for people to spawn. You are either in an area where you're constantly on the move, so when you spawn back into the game, you have to go. This is go, go, go.
And that's another thing as well, is that the spawning system in Battlefield really throws you back into the action from the get-go.
Yeah, from the get-go.
Instead of a lot of other multiplayer games that have respawns where you go back to a certain spawn points and you've got to sit and track back to where you got killed from. You get back, then you die again.
Yeah.
And you end up spending 20 minutes just literally going from spawn point back, spawn point back, spawn point back.
Yeah.
So as Keegan's showing here, you obviously that's where you change your classes in your deployment center. Yeah. And you can choose to spawn on a checkpoint, so a place that you've actually really got control over, or you can choose to spawn on a squad mate, like I said earlier. So that's also nice because that gives you a different, if you want to maybe go from a certain spawn point to defend, or you see people converging, you can actually give yourself a little bit of direction as to where you want to go.
Yeah. And I feel like that's so important, especially when it comes to a multiplayer first-person shooter.
Yeah.
You have to feel like you're, not constantly just spawning in only to get shot like 2 seconds later. You want to feel like when the game throws you into a spawn point, you are, in the thick of it immediately, and that keeps the momentum of each match going. And I feel like Battlefield does this really well. Whereas its competitors, look, I can throw a little bit of shade at Call of Duty, but I hate it whenever I spawn and 2 seconds later I am killed by a rogue grenade or someone sitting in a corner. With
not even Call of Duty. I find Overwatch is one of the biggest problems.
Overwatch as well. Yeah.
Call of Duty at least has something where they'll either spawn you to the right hand side or the left hand side of the middle of the map, or they'll spawn you at the other side, wherever enemies aren't going to immediately attack you. But I feel like Overwatch is especially a victim of that, especially if you are contesting something, at the further end of the map. You die, and they've got the checkpoints over which you'll spawn at. But especially like in the earlier stages of a round in Overwatch, you kind of spawn all the way back from the beginning, and you've got to track depending on the map that you're playing on. So I think it's really cool.
Sorry, any comments?
So we've got Walker J on YouTube. He says this doesn't look like COD. It looks so much like Battlefield 1, but I'm not a fan of Battlefield 1. Well, funny coincidence, Walker, is that this is Battlefield 5, so it's going to look like Battlefield 1. I'd be more worried if it didn't look like Battlefield 1.
Actually, considering that, Battlefield 1, it got its critical acclaim, it got all of its dues. So obviously the direction DICE would want to head naturally is, let's take that, do that again, but let's make it better, kind of like that.
So Walker responded now again saying, sadly won't be jumping onto this Battlefield, just not feeling it. Look, I get that. I do. I can agree. It's a bit of a, I would say it's also it's almost like a two-sided coin. Yeah. This is a great title for new players to the Battlefield franchise to jump into, because that's the nice thing with the War Stories thing that they introduced with the first Battlefield, is that there's no constant follow-on sequel storyline thing that's happening. It's each game has its own independent little time and space, and the War Stories really give it that freedom to be independent,
Yeah, and I also think what makes this this new Battlefield game kind of like, it's a lot of people are put off by the game, is the fact that, alright, this looks more like Battlefield 1. And if you did not take to Battlefield 1's combat, it's pretty much a given that you're probably not going to like this as much either.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I know a lot of people, this also brings back to the point where, Walker J, you were saying that, a lot of people have been crying out for Battlefield 1 to come back to the modern times. We want Bad Company 3, we want something more like Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3. I feel like that will be the direction that they will be taking the game next, taking the series next.
Yes.
But for now, I think like World War 1 was done, why not do World War 2? So that by the time we come back to modern times, let's have a World War 3 game. Let's do what Modern Warfare 3 did, and have a World War 3 game.
I agree. So, and also, the thing is that these, you spoke about it earlier with the World War 1 and World War 2 games, is that they generally tend to look a little bit, brown and dusty and very, lack of color, or monochrome, but, obviously not black and white. It's just, generally they tend to look green or, brown or whatever. And at least now, especially with the developments in gaming engines and, graphical and all of that jazz, we've now got we've finally got great enough systems to really build and to really showcase what these cities looked like during World War II. Because I mean, these were, this is Europe during World War II, which was branching out of the 18th century kind of architecture and things like that. You obviously you got all these systems, and it's I don't know, for me it's just obviously I've got a bit of a tie-in for Europe and the way it looked and the aesthetic of it, and it's just I think it would be silly of them not to capitalize on that right now, because like you said as well, they can follow on from this and maybe do a futuristic World War III title, or maybe go back to a Bad Company storyline or to a Battlefield 4 storyline, things like that.
Obviously, I feel like the direction they naturally want to take Battlefield 6 when it arrives, we're probably a bit far off from that, but it's probably going to be World War 3.
Yeah,
I
no,
feel
definitely.
like what they're trying to set up right now is, okay, we've covered World War 1, we've covered World War 2. Let's try and reimagine what World War 3 would be like. And I love when games sort of take that creative liberty. Modern Warfare 3 in the Call of Duty series, personally for me, is one of my favorite entries. And because it just had, the cojones to say, let's do World War 3, let's do something that's not even a part of history, let's create a fictional war that's really fun and really engaging, and I think Battlefield 6 might be that. But for that, I'd say just hold on.
Or whatever numbering system they decide to use, because they went from 1 to 5.
It went 1 to V5 to... Is there going to be a Roman numeral in the next one? Who knows?
So we've got a few more comments here on YouTube's. Necrodust asks, did that bell just ring when it got shot? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
Battlefield 1 also introduced that, where if you shot a bell or you shot a piece of metal, generally it generally tended to ring when it got shot. So the bells do definitely ring, which is a really cool addition, and I'm glad that they carried it over.
It's just a small, minute detail, but it just means the world in a game like this.
Also, like, that's another thing I want to talk about, is that we generally, gamers as a whole, we generally tend to focus on the graphics and the mechanics and whatever. But one thing I feel like we neglect quite often is the sound. The audio mechanics of a game, and just like that, the way certain objects sound when they're shot. Back in PlayStation 2 and even 3 days, generally everything had a mono sound when it was shot at. Trees, buildings, glass.
But now obviously with technology coming so far, we can have this amazing audio design, amazing sound design.
Exactly.
And I think it just works.
And now we can also have a system where, when glass gets shot, it shatters and it makes a shattering sound. When bricks get shot, it makes a thud,
And also, for example, if you shoot two windows next to each other, they are not going to sound the same.
Yes, exactly,
It's like we can include all of that now.
No, it's really phenomenal, and it's also it's something that I've always loved, and I've also it's tripping over my own tongue. Walker J says, I know modern would be awesome again. One of those people that feel like the Battlefield engine and mechanics could do awesome with some kind of future styled FPS. And definitely agree. I think going into a future styled game is always, again, a double-edged sword. You've got that artistic creativity to kind of go. However
you just go.
Because I mean, we don't. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen in World War III because it hasn't happened yet. We hope it doesn't, but I mean,
obviously we hope it's not going to happen because that'll kind of suck. But
but I mean, at least we get some good games out of it.
Video games is we can sort of. These guys can imagine what World War III would kind of be like, in this modern setting.
Exactly.
And EA, by the way, and DICE, if you're not thinking about World War III right now for Battlefield, I'm putting my word out there. Just speak to me. I have some story ideas.
Yeah. Well, just 10% royalties. That's all we ask. But I definitely agree. I feel like we visited World War I and II quite enough now. Not that it's getting boring, but I mean, obviously we visited these different places over and over. I mean, World War III just released as well quite recently, which was cool. So I think definitely a future-styled World War III, maybe not even as dramatic as World War III, even just a future-styled
when we talk about future-styled, I think Necrodust was kind of saying in his comment that after Call of Duty got criticized for going too far into the future, he doesn't want that to happen to Battlefield. I don't think necessarily going too far into the future. Maybe just having it set in modern times, but sort of reimagining what World War III would be like in modern times. Sort of like how Modern Warfare 3 actually did. So
And I think the criticism for Call of Duty also came from the fact that it just got a bit too far-fetched. It wasn't just the going into the future and maybe doing a futuristic game. It was just becoming a bit too far-fetched. we were swinging from cliffs with our gloves, and we were
Obviously,
in space.
no. I would hate for that to happen to Battlefield. Can
Yeah,
you
no,
imagine like
100%,
they're having
you know?
exosuits and
Yeah,
stuff in
exactly.
Battlefield? It just
And
doesn't make sense.
you know,
Right.
also like the
Yeah.
little base building system that got going on there, where
Yeah.
you reinforce your fortifications.
Yeah.
Also, for me, it's an inclusion of strategy as well, because now it's you got to think on the fly. And I mean, we see it in Fortnite, but it's a bit more comical in Fortnite.
We
Really,
clearly
you
have
know,
a
it's
nice little guy in the
it's
chat
all about
as well.
building those high ridges just to get to loot
Hi.
boxes. That's pretty much it. Whereas this is proper strategy, or at least for me, it's a bit more strategy on the battlefield.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
Walker J just sent another response.
So Call of Duty made two huge mistakes with their futuristic. They added exosuits and the jump glide, and we couldn't agree more.
No,
I mean,
no,
the
that
exosuits.
was huge mistakes.
I think the exosuits is a great idea in theory.
Yeah.
Execution, video game, real life, whatever. It just
But
doesn't.
ultimately,
I mean,
I'm not going to say that the exosuits were the worst thing to ever happen to the game. Obviously, there was some fun to be had when you could sort of jump around and do all these amazing futuristic stuff. But my only issue was, don't call it Call of Duty.
No, 100%. I agree.
I mean, look at how
You know,
amazing Titanfall was, and it
Yeah,
incorporated
Titanfall.
the same
Well, there we go.
system.
You know?
Titanfall 2 was essentially Black Ops 3 with Nex, and they could have just called it a new IP. No, Call of Duty, you wanted to be able to, continue to grow, but don't upset the fans in the process. If you knew that futuristic warfare
all of that.
was going to upset people, don't make it, And they continue to do that straight into Infinite Warfare, and it didn't sit well with a lot of people. Yeah.
So I just also want to touch on the machine that we are playing on at the moment. Keegan, can you tell us if it's gotten any warmer in the hour that you've been playing?
Same temperature.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it's gotten any crazier.
And again, I mean, no frame drops, no stuttering, no lag, no thermal issues.
None at all.
Fingers aren't burning. I feel like that's a problem with a lot of notebooks as well, is that my fingertips start burning because the keys start to get a little bit
I mean,
on the
it's
warm
reasonable.
side.
It's warm, but it's reasonable. And compared to some other notebooks I've played with lately, this is definitely on the better side.
Well, I mean, this is a i7 quad core at almost 3 gigahertz and a 1060. I think it's doing relatively well considering it's this thin.
Yeah.
So,
we're just coming to wrap up our final comments for Battlefield 5.
Have you got anything there on Twitter for you?
Nothing on Twitter right now. But I just want to say, overall, what do you guys think as just sort of like your initial impressions or the impressions so far leading up to your final thoughts? What do you think about that?
Was I on fire just now? Let's go back. I am on fire.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so the one of the nice things as well about Battlefield is that it's something you would have to pay attention to really realize, but the muzzle flashes are different with each shot.
Yeah.
You know,
that was another detail I actually picked up earlier. Yeah.
And again, it's small detail maybe a lot of people won't notice, but it just adds to that. Again, that sense of emotion really, and it's just also it's
scared to shoot at them. Yeah, because that happened.
That's that. Well, because you were shooting at the wrong person. But yeah, I mean, also it's just something that's very that I just find really it's cool. There's no other way about it. It's just cool.
I think all things said and done, Battlefield 5 is. Look, I am liking how this game is looking so far. It's looking pretty amazing. Yeah. And I think this game is going to have a lot of potential to just, go places in the future. Yeah. Obviously, when it will come down to the debate of Black Ops 4 or Battlefield 5, that's going to be an ongoing thing. Yeah. But what I think is necessary is that Battlefield 5 is here. It's a game that you can buy very soon, in a few days actually. Yeah. And overall, I think this game is going to blow a few minds.
My pin fell upside down to become an A.
It is now the same time. Yeah.
So cool. If you would like to catch us for our next stream, we're going to be doing a game stream next week, Wednesday at about 4 o'clock, same time. Yeah. Also, Sam and Keegan will be here again. Maybe we'll do some Hitman 2 live streaming, or maybe some Black Ops 4 Nuketown. We don't know.
I think I want to see Rob play Hitman 2. And so what's going to happen is Rob's going to play Hitman 2. And we are going to tell him how to kill people. He does not have these free rolls.
Wow, that just sounds terrible. I'm just going to be honest. But I mean, sure, why not? Yeah. So actually, we're going to set it as Hitman 2 for next week, Wednesday at 4 o'clock. So make sure to join us. Please like and subscribe. Post your comments in the comment section below as well.
Also, just make sure you visit www.nexushub.co.za. You keep up to date on all the news, all the happenings. Our Battlefield 5 review is coming very soon. So is a lot of games, and we can't wait to talk about them with you guys.
We hope you enjoyed our our stream here of the gameplay footage from Battlefield 5.
Keegan dying 101.
Keegan dying 101. That's what we also like to call it.
And in the summertime.
Yeah, also remember that if you pre-order your Battlefield 5 copy, you will receive a nifty little exclusive pin that keeps falling upside down for some reason.
It's Battlefield A.
It's Battlefield A. What I mean, whatever, you know, you wear that's cool. Thanks so much, and please join us again next week.
My V still not. Okay,
see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.